Joe House is here. His favorite team, the Washington Seawards, was 7-2 a mere 5 days ago. And it's now 7-4 after 2 losses in 5 days. I listened to you on a very good show called East Coast Bias on the Ringer Gambling Show today. And you were saying it felt a little early for Washington in a game like this. So make the same case you made 12 hours ago on that show.
Well, I've had a couple drinks just to be blunt about it right from the top. So I'll be able to get half of it right.
Is it drunk? Is it drunk house or just slightly overserved house? Buzzed house. Okay.
Buzzed. Yeah.
Buzzed house.
I'll say this. This Washington team has now lost 4 games on the season. All of their losses are to playoff teams from last year. None of their losses came to teams that they were forecasted to beat. They have, against their 3 toughest competitors, all 1-score games. So this whole season is a silver lining season, and Washington just isn't quite good enough yet. They don't have good enough players. They have good players, and kudos to the front office and the coaching staff and everybody to put out the first competitive team that we've seen here in Washington. Now, we did make the playoffs a handful of years ago with Ron Rivera with a team that finished under 500.
I don't remember that.
Did make the playoffs in 2015.
Did we bet against Ron Rivera when he made the playoffs with under 500 too? We must have.
Oh, I mean, it's lock of the century. We had to.
I hope we
have.
did. Yeah. I hope we did.
But, for 2.5, 3.5 quarters, Washington was in this game. Washington looked fine.
Well, you know why you didn't win? Because your quarterback's hurt.
Yeah, that's the other part of it. I said this on the show. One of my favorite bets for this evening was Jane Daniels under 43.5 rushing yards. He can't run right now because he's hurt. He's protecting his ribs. The team's protecting him. The point isn't to win in week 11. The point is to win enough games to make it to the playoffs. I think they need to win 3 more games. The schedule sets up nice. We have
let's go through it. You're home Dallas, home Tennessee next 2. You'd be favored by 5.5 against Dallas, 7 against Tennessee. You got a bye week at New Orleans, home Philly, home Atlanta, at Dallas again. You get Dallas twice when it looks like they're punting on the season.
It's wonderful. Couldn't
so
be
you might get to 11 wins anyway.
Yeah, and I think in the NFC you get to Ted, great chance of getting in there. And this little mini bye can't be overrated, right? They go from this Thursday night game, which I hate. I hate a divisional game on a Thursday night. Terrible. But now they have the rest. We're going to get Marshawn Latimer. We're going to get Jaden Daniels. Hopefully those 8 days are meaningful to his recovery. The offensive line's a little dinged up. Cliff Kingsbury doesn't think so, because he thinks that we should try these short yardage rushing plays that the Eagles, there were 8 short yardage rushing plays. I'll just do my Kingsbury bit for 10 seconds. 8 short yardage rushing plays for Washington. They amassed a total of -1 rushing yards. Is it second half Cliff, or do we have second half Cliff in our lives?
Are you talking second half of the season or second half of a game, or both?
All of the above. All the above, sadly.
So if Cliff was a baseball pitcher, he'd be the I don't want to see the lineup a third time guy.
I'm tapping my right arm. I'm tapping.
You're bringing in
who's the really offensive coordinator
lefty?
relief? Yes, exactly.
Well, that was the key part of the game, was when it was 2nd and 1. It felt like an either or game. I was sweating out an Eagles tease and an Eagles parlay. 2nd and 1 stuff. 3rd and 1 stuff. Let's go for it on 4th and 2. Fumbled handoff. Daniels tackled 3 yards away from line of scrimmage. And that flipped the game. I thought, and maybe I had some PTSD from last year with Jalen Hurts, but I think it was the Giants last year. I can't remember. With that game, the Eagles murdered literally every tease on the planet when Hurts threw that last interception into like 5 guys. And it was like, oh, I bet on the Eagles. They're in the one game this year when Jalen Hurts just looks terrible and like he has 7 injuries. It felt like that today in the first half. It felt like he doesn't look right. What's going on here? Are they hiding an injury? His body language gets weird. He starts getting a little hangdoggish. he's a little slow to get up after he gets knocked down. Your defense was flying around, and I felt like maybe you could steal like a 13-10 type game. It was sitting there for a while, and then Saquon Barkley took over.
And that defense, God bless them. It's all, retreads and guys that haven't established themselves with much in the way of pedigree yet. Frankie Louvu is awesome. Bobby Wagner has pedigree. Dorrance Armstrong. Yeah. And there's like 5 or 6 guys who've established, but you still have St. Juste out on the corner. The kid from Michigan, now that looks like the steal of the draft. Sanderstill, incredible. They went at him with both AJ Brown and Smith, and he was with the same route, and he was there for both of them. So knock on wood. It's good. It's a good team in progress.
How did you feel about Dan Quinn's arms up in the air? We're up by 7 on a Thursday night game with a chance to blow every parlay and teaser, double fist pump scream reactions. Like, at least from a character standpoint, he seems like he'd be a fun coach to have, considering your last coach was basically, who is more dead, him or Joe Biden? In retrospect, Ron Rivera or Joe Biden?
Rivera, I mean, respectfully, Ron Rivera did just beat cancer last season.
Oh my God! Why did that have to be the retort?
Respectfully,
I was setting you up for a Biden joke, and now you have to get all serious on me. Jesus.
We're way by it. We're way past the.
Is there
Biden
video
jokes,
of Ron Rivera walking on the beach in Delaware like Biden or no?
maybe the two of them hand in hand together. Who knows?
Notice Biden's wife didn't put her arm out. She maybe help the old man as he's trying to navigate some sand. Jesus.
There isn't a lot of physical contact between those two ever since it became clear that he wasn't going to run for president again. You can't catch those two together in a single camera frame.
Yeah, it's tough times. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so big picture, I would have said Philly was maybe my number 1 draft pick for the other NFC title spot against Detroit. Something's missing, and I don't know what it is. Now, granted, their kicker today, they scored 26 points. Their kicker missed 2 field goals and a PAT. So really, they could have been in the 30s. But I don't know what it is, but they have not won me over as the second team yet. The problem is I don't know who the second team is. Like, we could have the Green Bay conversation. Maybe we'll know more this week. Maybe this is the week San Francisco gets going. Maybe Minnesota will start looking again like they did in September, go on and on. But I just don't know who the team is.
I still think it's Philly, and I think that they remain a work in progress themselves. You have to remember, like, this is, and they made a point of it on the broadcast. Alan Kirk, America's favorite Thursday night couple. They, Fangio's defense takes a little while for guys to get. They have 2 outstanding guys in that secondary, Quinion Marshall and DeJean.
Yeah,
and those guys are clearly, getting it. Jalen Carter had a dominant game tonight against the Washington offensive line. That's been a revelation. So I think as they put it together defensively, ultimately they won that game with their defense, right? That's what we would say. And I mean, I haven't seen anything out of San Francisco. If San Francisco keeps trotting out the 30th ranked special teams, get the F out of here. That what they did last week.
Isn't it worse than 30th? It was 30th before all the shenanigans last week.
Well, there was a lot of
dropped.
There was a lot of bad special teams. I mean, Atlanta's kicker had 3 missed field goals. But in any event, as you go down the list on the NFC side, it's a lot easier to poke holes than express confidence. I think on both sides of the ball, the Eagles are the second best.
Yeah, it probably by default, but I don't feel good about it.
Okay, it is only week 11. Remember, this is
how many AFC teams would you take over the second NFC team?
I would
Buffalo
take the Bills.
And KC. Would you take both of them? Yeah,
for sure. Probably the Ravens.
I would take the Ravens.
Ravens are close. Ravens.
Would you rather be the Chargers or the Eagles?
Oh, definitely the Eagles. No. Come on. We're not there yet. The Chargers just discovered that they have two receivers.
Would you rather be the Steelers or the Eagles?
Eagles. Those weapons on the outside.
I think I'd rather be the Steelers because the Sirianni factor, which did not rear its ugly head tonight because maybe on Thursday nights his medication's better. But
fair enough.
So your team's, I'm guessing, a playoff team still.
Yeah, well,
I don't see a scenario where that doesn't happen unless Daniels is really hurt. But even now, you're 7-3.
7-4.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're 7-4. You have a 1-game lead over Green Bay, who's number 3 in the NFC North. Nobody in the NFC South catching you. And then in the NFC West, Arizona's 6-4, San Fran's 5-4. And the Rams, who we touted a couple weeks ago, who now are in a must-win spot against my guy Drake May and the Pats.
Yeah.
So 10 wins feels like it gets into the playoffs, right?
I agree. Yeah, I think it's 10 wins in the NFC, and I liked our chances. I think I'm cautiously optimistic.
Has this been a good season for rehabilitating your Washington Commander relationships in your life?
I mean, look, I'm wearing the hat.
What kind of text threads are you on? How many different Washington text threads are you on?
A half dozen, at least, and it's unbridled exuberance. Like, we have a football team where everybody's, in my conversations, it's around what the future might hold, and everything begins with this quarterback. We must keep this kid healthy, but if we have that foundational piece, then it's been demonstrated, especially in his rookie year, in his first 11 games in his rookie year, he's showing that he belongs in the upper echelon. You get that, then you have a window. And if you have a window, you better jump through it in this modern NFL, right?
We have the next segment. I'm talking to Nate Tice about Drake May. It's the exact same situation.
Yeah.
We're like, wow, we now have, I even when this happened with Brady for the Pats and even with Bledsoe in the 90s, but I was way younger with having my history of football knowledge and just how important a quarterback was. You're like, we'll get a quarterback. When you get older and you realize how rare it is, and then you get one of these guys, it's like the number one thing you'd want in any sport.
Well, and in this iteration of the NFL, this version, because of the way the salary cap's configured, getting the most important player on the team at the cheapest possible price and then trying to build around. It's why I admired what Houston did in the offseason, this most recent offseason, in terms of trying to add.
Just got aggressive.
You got to go. You got to go. The time is now if you have a quarterback like this. So I expect Washington with Adam Peters.
It's like what the Wizards are going to do with Bub Carrington. Yes. Same thing.
Very similar.
Now that you have your foundational piece,
he's the guy.
Now you got and Jordan Poole. Now you have that 1-2 punch.
Oh,
Jordan Poole, 42 points last night.
Why did you have to do that?
He had 42 points last night.
All he did, you know what that man did? Delivered a cover. The line was 10 and Washington lost by 9.
Jesus. I think we're in the heyday of betting on...
It's a pool party, baby. It's a pool party.
We're in the heyday of betting on huge underdogs in the NBA right now. You notice that? Like the fucking Hawks were 16-point underdogs and just went into Boston and beat them. There might not even been a money line in the game. This 3-point variance, it's like it's insane to lay that many points with any team. All right. Anything else in this game? Because we're going to take a break and bring you back later for $1 Million Picks unless you have anything else.
No, I'm pleased. This is, they was competitive, good, happy. Let's move on. Let's get to 10 wins.
Okay.